All right, so hello world, hello whoever's watching, hello copywriters, content writers, or people that are just happening to tune in. So this is the final day of our week talking about pitching, and not just pitching, but really how to kind of stay efficient and stay active in these somewhat chaotic times. There are still a lot of opportunities out there for copywriters and freelancers, so we wanted to put together a group of really smart people so we can talk about how to not just survive but really thrive and hopefully come out of this a little bit better. So really excited today to talk to this guy. So me and this guy have a little bit of history.
Good to see you again, Tyler.
He's actually the reason that I am in this business at all. So today we're talking with Aaron Dehoog, who is the publisher of Banyan Hill, which is a subsidiary. Is that, I guess, kind of
that's a good term.
Subsidiary of Agora. And he's not just my old boss. Like, that's not the only reason why this is going to be helpful and fun. But he actually took, a group that was making $6 million a year and took them all the way up to $100 million in about 5 years. And in addition to that, he also works with copywriters, hires writers. So he's very, he has the pulse on direct response. So Aaron, thank you for joining. How's it going?
Good. It's good to see you again, Tyler. It's been a bit, so it's great to see you doing well and being successful.
Thanks. Yeah, I remember you always used to make fun of me for my ripped jeans when I came into the office. I was young, very cool, and you always got me, but I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Well, you got to rag on you a little bit with you and all your ripped jeans. You're probably, I think they're even skinny jeans too. Do you still wear those skinny jeans?
They're pretty skinny still, a lot less holes and rips, but they're pretty much the same thing.
Something I don't understand, but all right, it's all good.
So let's jump straight into it. So like I said, the reason I really wanted to talk to you is because you have, I think, more of a pulse on this world of direct response, more so than anyone that I know. And just, I think in general, there's a lot of copywriters out there that they have this interest in direct response. They want to work for companies like Agora and kind of these groups that really specialize in publishing. So my first question is kind of, now that we're, like a month and a half in, I would say, to this new, whatever you want to call it, this new reality, what's kind of the state? What is like the feeling that you have as far as like the direct response industry, and how are things just going in general?
It's when it comes to direct response, it's easiest for me to probably talk about the financial world. And we're in financial publishing here at Banyan Hill. And ironically, during the last 6 weeks, it's actually the silver linings has almost been good for our industry. As you probably know, and most people watching, a lot of people are like thinking about investing right now. It's funny, I just got a text from my brother-in-law yesterday who said he just opened up a TD Ameritrade account. I had one of my nephews reach out to me and ask about investing in the stock market. And one of my neighbors was telling me how he opened up a Robinhood account. So there's a lot of people who are interested right now in marketing, in investing. And how does that influence marketing? Well, it's just made it so much easier for the financial world. We used to have to go out there and try to find these people. And so right now, there's already people looking to invest. In fact, our marketing team looked at what people are searching for in Google, and the term, how do I invest, or something like that, like how do I buy stocks? It's been going like this for the last 10 years. And then it spiked about 6 weeks ago, and it's way up there. So for direct response in the financial publishing world, it's been a good thing. It's hard to say good thing, but it's actually, there's a silver lining there where there's a lot of interest. A lot of people, they missed out on the 2009 to 2020 bull market. And now they're like, I don't want to miss out again. There's definitely this FOMO, this fear of missing out on this next bull market. That's what we've seen. Now, obviously, when it comes to direct marketing, direct response world, and some of the challenges there, I think there are some challenges, of course. The biggest one we've seen, and you guys all know this, it's all the additional restrictions coming from Facebook and Google, and it feels impossible sometimes. I'm sure, are you seeing the same thing, Tyler?
Not as much in just the clients and kind of industries that I work with, but I definitely see people talking about it. And it's definitely, especially in the last like year or so, even before this, it's just been pretty
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, I mean, I know for us, we used to be able to do an ad around one of our subscribers who send in a testimonial. Like, for example, I remember we had one that was like, police officer turns 10,000 into like 20,000. It
Mhm.
was a great performing ad. It was completely true. And of course, it gets banned because it was too successful and because there's too big of claims, even though it's all, we can back everything up. It doesn't matter. So I think a lot of people are experiencing that. And, you can always look at that as a hurdle, as a bad thing, but you can also look at it and see, when every time an obstacle comes in your way, you have to overcome it. And I know everyone else is facing the same obstacle. So if we can find a better way to overcome those obstacles, in a way, it's, if we can do that, then it's actually better for our industry. So definitely more restrictions. The other big thing, I think two other big things I'm seeing in the direct response world is we've had a lot more success on YouTube than we've ever had. And I think YouTube is just, I just see how much my kids watch it. I see how much I'm now referring to it, especially when it comes to how to do something. I don't know how many times I type how to, fix your washing machine, whatever it is. We're always doing that. And so YouTube is just becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's been a big new success for us. And the other biggest thing is, again, I'm probably preaching to the choir, but it's just creating an ecosystem. Even when you and I were working back together back in 2015, I felt like if people watched one of our promotions, they got to the end and they ordered. And we're finding right now more and more people get to the end of the promotion and like, well, let me see
Yeah.
more about this company. I'm going to Google them. Okay, Banyan Hill, Google them. Okay, what's their customer reviews like? What's the experience? So it's so important compared to the old days. Right now, it's so important to create that ecosystem. So when someone goes on Google or whatever it is to check you out, they get confirmation that they're making the right decision in that purchase.
Yeah, I mean, I think copywriting is just so uniquely like special for the situation, especially direct response, because it really is all about opportunity. And like you said, I mean, a lot of this business was kind of built on situations like this, like back in '08 and then even way before that. So, and I think that's something a lot of marketers and copywriters are kind of just not really sure how to approach it, because obviously the general consensus, as far as if you're watching the news and if you're talking to friends, is that, oh, it's bad, like no one's hiring, like it's not even a good time to think about stuff like that. It's just about like surviving. But obviously direct response is uniquely built to kind of thrive, I guess, in situations like this. And yeah, now more than ever, I totally agree that I think back then it was just a little bit easier. You have the email and the low tier product, then you upsell them, and you upsell and you upsell them, and then that's kind of the way to go. But now just having a full ecosystem, it's interesting because we talk about that a lot in the more of like the brand copywriting and website copywriting and stuff like that. But it's interesting to hear it from, a direct response side as well, because that just kind of goes to show that there's so much more, I think, just more opportunity than people might think, especially in, more traditional copywriting world.
Absolutely. I know it's like you go back to like every single time there's a challenge, if you can overcome it, it is a massive opportunity. I always see people, talk about opportunities in life and stuff like that. And, it's a perspective. You can either look at this and see it as a challenge that you have to overcome, or you can see it as an opportunity. Yeah, we're in this crazy environment right now. How can you not only make the best of it, but use it as a source to thrive? And I know sometimes that might even sound unethical or something like that. I'm not, of course, trying to be unethical, but I'm saying, look, we're in this. You look at some of those people out there, some companies who they're basically reinventing themselves
Yeah.
to help out in this situation. And you can look at yourself the same way. How can I reinvent myself to serve my clients the best? Or how can I reinvent the way they advertise to help them out the best? So there's a lot you can do. I mean, there's so much opportunity out there.
So how are you guys, is the logistics, how you guys are functioning as far as, I guess the writers that you have, the writers that you're looking at, how things are kind of moving? Is that changing for you guys, or are you expecting that to change, or are you guys kind of just running the course?
Nothing's changed too much. As far as an operational standpoint, thankfully we're set up so that everybody can work from home. So that hasn't changed a whole lot. I'm in my office right now, but it's 3 miles from home, and it's an office of about 30 people in this location. But there's about 4 of us that show up. But when it comes to hiring, that hasn't changed at all for us at all. So we're still, on a nice projected sustainable path. I think that's what you're asking.
Yeah, pretty much. And so are you guys still, so it's still kind of, I know you prefer, and I think most probably of the Agora guys prefer having in-house writers. And is freelance a thing that you think about, or that you guys kind of consider for certain projects, or like what is your thinking as far as freelance writers and potential opportunities with people like you?
We're definitely open to freelance writers. What we like to do is, and I guess it depends on how you describe freelance. So what I don't need people working from the office, but my intention with every one of our copywriters is that we have a complete full-term relationship. Most of my copywriters do not work in the office. I mean, they're all over the United States. In fact, we have 2 or 3 in. We have 1 in the UK. We have 2 in Australia. So they're spread out all over the place right now.
Yeah.
It's to work. I always tell our copywriters, even the ones that live locally, write wherever you feel like you can write the best. Don't feel like you got to come in the office. I mean, I'm the CEO, so when I'm writing copy, I can shut my door over here and tell people to go away. If you're a copywriter, a lot of times you work in an office where there's a cubicle or whatever it is, and people are stopping by and bothering you. And this, if you're writing copy, you have to stay focused for a long time. And even if someone just comes by and asks you, hey, did you watch the NFL draft last night? Well, all of a sudden that messes up, your focus, and then you have to start back over again. So I always say, write where you do write best. We're definitely open to working with freelance writers. My intention is usually I want to start off on one project. With you, and then build it from there. Let's date before we get married, but we're absolutely open to working with freelancers.
Yeah, so that was kind of going to be my next question, is kind of what is the process? So for someone that, because I think people it's intimidating. I'm not going to lie. I think a lot of people have this intimidation for direct response publishers, because they're kind of put on a pedestal, rightly so, because they make a ton of money and stuff and do a lot of things. But what is kind of the process as far as hiring writers, and how, what are some things that that I guess a budding copywriter that wants to kind of get in and start at the ground level, what can they do to kind of prepare themselves, especially now?
Yeah, great question. I'll tell you a very specific situation. Probably about 2 weeks ago, I was like, man, we really need to add a few more copywriters to our team. We now at Banyan Hill, we have 7 front-end services, so like the $100 price. And the goal is to get people to sign up for those and then sign up for higher price items. So we have 7 of these franchise front-end services. And then we have 23 back-end services. So we have a lot. And I was looking at that and I was like, man, we just need some more writers to get some promotions out. And so how do I do that? How do I find copywriters? Well, what I do is I write my copywriters and say, hey, do you know of anybody? Do you know of anyone that you've worked with before that you could recommend? And then they always get back to me. And since then, we've been able to add, about 3 people to our team. So my suggestion to the people who are writing copy right now, who want to work with a group like Banyan Hill, is you can always reach out to me, but sometimes the best thing to do is reach out to the copywriters who work with us and simply tell them, hey, I want to grow in my copywriting career. I would be happy to help you out with anything that you have, whether it's writing lift notes for your current promotions that you have, whether it's reviewing copy that you're writing. I have people review my copy all the time. People from, Mark Ford, who's one of the founders of Agora, a great, copywriter. He just reviewed one of my promotions the other day. He said it was horrible, but he reviewed it for me and he gave great constructive feedback. At the same time, same promotion, I had someone who's just brand new to writing copy review it too. And so I want to get all different aspects. And so if you're looking to, I guess my point is, if you're looking to land a career with a big publishing firm or a big company, think about reaching out to the copywriters that already work there and see how you can help them. Simply go on LinkedIn, look up the company, look up for copywriters who work with the company. It's a pretty easy process to do.
Yeah, I would say that's kind of just been the general theme of this whole week, talking to people that kind of have this other perspective of bringing on writers, that it's more of like creating relationships that are just
Yes.
going to be more long term, because I think especially at a time like right now, people are freaking out, and it, rightfully so for a lot of reasons, but then they think only about getting this job or getting this gig, rather than kind of positioning themselves in more of a more of a long-term or more genuine way, because I think it's hard when these opportunities don't come right away, but
Right.
setting yourself up and making these relationships it's pretty much the only way to do it, in my opinion. It's you have to kind of it's a can be a slow churn, but if you really want to set yourself up long term, it seems like it's pretty much the best way to do it.
Absolutely. And you can always send, guys, like, you can reach out to me, send me some material you've done, worked on, but it's also a lot of times I'll write back, say, hey, thanks for sending, when I get a chance, I'll look over it, because it can add up to a lot for me to really evaluate a copywriter. It can take a long time, because even if you're a successful copywriter, you send me a promo you've worked on, there's people who've sent me some great promotions before, and I know their copy chief, and I'll reach out to the copy chief. I'm like, hey, did so-and-so really write this? And they're like, well, he might have written about 25% of it. A bunch of other people jumped in and wrote it. He's the name on the promotion, but other people really worked hard on it. So a lot of times it's me trying to figure that part out as well. So, but to that point, again, when I'm looking to hire, I usually reach out to my copywriters. Hey, who do you know out there that, might be interested in joining us? And so right away, I'm able to get 3 people on the team. And that's really the method that we have now. So you're absolutely right. Being a part of a group that you have, some of these other groups that are out there, it's super important to do.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think people look at the CEO or the publisher of a group like this, and they don't realize that. I remember, like, you wrote copy all day long. Like, that's like
Yeah.
work. So it doesn't really make sense to send a guy like you a sales letter and be like, hey, can you check this over? Because it's too much going on, and like you said, you're especially just love, or you need to have that focus as you're working. So yeah, I mean, I think that's, like I said, it's a theme. Just kind of use your network and don't really be afraid to put out there what you're actually looking to achieve, like who you're looking to get in touch with. Because people are usually a lot more helpful than you might think, or more willing to help. So
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
as far as bringing people in, what is like, how important is fit? Like, because you can have a promo, and you can have you can show them like how well you've written for whatever company that you were contracted out to, but how important is fit as far as coming into a group like you guys, and how you work and what's expected? What are some things that people need to kind of consider?
Yeah, I mean, I think for every company, you want to make sure there's a solid cultural fit. Um, with us, we're all team players, and we have a great team in place where there's no egos at all. Um, that's so important. And a great example is, I told you, I always send my copy out to other people to review. And a newer copywriter to our team, I sent something out to, and this was the America 2.0 promotion, which that's out there right now. It's
Yeah.
working pretty well. It's doing 200-300 orders a day. So we're very, and it's been going that way for like 2 or 3 months now. So it's a success. One of the first iterations of that, I put that out there to this copywriter, and he completely blasted it. And he had so many great points, and not in a negative way, like, harsh, but he said, I don't like this promotion, and here's why, here's what you can do to adjust it. And I thought, man, that is so powerful for this guy to do this, to say this to me. But I do think that's part of our culture, is that you have to have these honest conversations with people, because it doesn't make any sense to say, hey, the promotion looks great, and go on your way. They're just going to end up writing a horrible promotion. So cultural fit's imperfect. Is very perfect. Important to have. I think the other big thing is, I always say, and I'm stealing this from Kevin Rogers. His whole conference we went to this past year was, nobody ever writes alone.
Mm.
And it's so important. I mean, I've seen so many copywriters who want to try to sit in their office and take 2 months to write this promotion, and they come back and hand it to me like, here you go, here's the promotion, and they're all excited. I'm like, I really wish we could have seen this earlier,
Yeah.
because we can't say what you're saying here. It's just this isn't true. And it might even sound amazing, but we can't legally say it, or stuff like that. So just always have that communication going back and forth. So I mean, culture fit's important. Even so, yes, it's very important. Even if you're not working in the office, if you are working in California, Australia, or UK, wherever you might be at.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think now, at least so me, definitely in the last like year or so, I've kind of realized this importance of having a little circle of people that you can trust and that you actually kind of, let see your work, because it can be so, it's like, it's hard to show people you're writing, and then you end up just getting too deep into your work, and then
Yeah.
if it's even on the right track. So definitely, I remember we were working together. It was such a team culture, and it's real. It's not just like everyone's just hanging out in the kitchen. It's like everyone. First of all, everyone needs these promos to do well, because it's everyone. It's
Yeah.
not just the copywriter who cares. It's everyone. So yeah, I definitely think for anyone who's watching that, wants to start to kind of look into these opportunities, it really is. I think it's a bonus. Really, it's like a really bonus aspect of direct response, that it does have this team element, and it really, for me, it really
Hmm.
helped. And I think for a lot of copywriters, it's just a more comfortable environment to work in, knowing that you have people kind of in your best interest as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So last question, I'm gonna wrap this up. So what is, maybe it can be like a little bit more lighthearted, or however you want to take it, but what are some things like where you just roll your eyes, like you see people that they want so bad to work for an Agora group, they really just want to get it, and maybe they just come in, probably maybe with good intentions, but it's just so clear that they're not ready, or that they should be kind of going maybe in another direction. What are some things like that you've seen, and that you would like to warn potential writers out
Um, I think the biggest thing I see is when people say that they've done like the AWAI course, or they did some course by Jay Abraham and stuff like that, and in some way they think that that's going to make them really good. And it's a little bit like reading a book on how to ride a bike. It doesn't mean you can ride a bike, right? So I think that's the biggest thing probably that I might roll my eyes at when someone says, hey, I've done this course and stuff. And sometimes even, like, I think all these groups are great. All right. It's important to do this. The groups that you have and some of these other copywriting groups that are out there, it's important to have these groups. But at the end of the day, it's, can you write? I don't want, I almost compare it to like a ball boy, right? Like I think back to like playing high school basketball or football, or whatever it is. And you have, usually the ball boys are these guys who know everything about the sport, or the water boy. They know everything about the sport, but they're just not good enough to play.
Right.
And sometimes the people who do all these courses and stuff, they know everything about writing copy, but they're just not writing copy. It's so, and I'm sure you preach this all the time, but it's so important to write every single day, when you want to, when you don't want to. It's writing. And so that's what's important. So yeah, when it comes to people emailing me, sometimes they say AWAI, or they say Jay Abraham's course or some other course. I'm not saying that stuff's bad, but it's got to be much more than that.
Yeah, and so you touched on it. So let me ask you, what, aside from writing every day, like what does that look like, or how can, what advice do you give to writers if they actually want to improve consistently? Like when you say write every day, what does that kind of look like?
Well, I think, you tell me. But I think for me, it's kind of going back to making sure that if you don't personally, like there's some people watching who might not have a full-time gig right now or full-time job.
Yeah.
It goes back to reaching out to another copywriter that you might be able to help. Maybe it's reviewing stuff for that copywriter. Maybe sometimes it's even doing research for that copywriter, because that's a big part of writing copy, is coming up with that big idea. I always have a spreadsheet, that I save to my desktop of all my ideas that I have, and for future promotions, running list of like 20 of them. Some of them, are probably horrible. That's why they've been on the list for 10 years. But I always keep that running list, and I go back through it, and sometimes I'll just start writing around some of those ideas a little bit to see if it goes anywhere. So I think that's important. Obviously, like, reading is important and staying on top of the environment. The biggest thing that's so important when it comes to copy, and I might be going on a little bit of a tangent here, but the biggest thing for me when it comes to writing copy is really understanding that big, compelling idea for a promotion. And this is important because it has to be a big idea, but it also has to be a compelling idea. So a promotion that's working right now, let's talk about America 2.0. That promotion, if you guys have seen it, it's Paul Mampilli, our top guru, talking about how much he loves America and why he thinks our economy is about to go into a full-blown 10-year bull market. The Dow is going to 100,000. You would think that promotion was slowed down during this recent crisis, but it didn't. It just kept going because that emotion is so powerful, and because people are so patriotic right now. But I've also seen some people, what happened, and so that's an emotionally compelling idea, right? So it's very powerful. But we just had another promotion that completely bombed. We did one around this idea about David and Goliath, and it was a unique idea in my mind about how David never was the underdog when he took on Goliath. He actually had the odds stacked in his favor the whole time, and we backed into this really cool strategy and all this stuff. And we wanted to put it out there because the copywriter and I who worked on this, we were the same ones that worked on the Biblical Money Code promotion back in like 2011. And so we're like, oh, this is so similar. This is going to work. And it completely bombed. And I think a big part of that is because it was a big idea, but right now it's not an emotionally compelling idea, because it worked back then in 2011 because people were so frustrated after the last 3 years, the market going sideways, down, kind of came back up 2011, 12, it crashed back down again. So people are looking for this unique way, a unique strategy to make money in the markets. And we thought people would be looking for that way now because the market's been volatile, but they're not. They're looking, so I guess my big point is find out what is really on the forefront of people's minds. Right now, we would expect some people to be terrified, but we're seeing in the financial markets that people are so excited about this recent downturn because they have the chance to invest. So actually the promotions that are working best are the most aggressive ones. And so no matter what industry you're in, think about that. What's on the forefront of your prospects' minds? We always say you can't argue your customer into something. They have to already want it, really. You just have to show them they want it. It's like a good joke. Whenever a great comedian gets up there, he says something that's so funny, and you always say, oh, that's so true. I never thought of it that way. It's so silly that we do this or that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. So, and like you said, I think getting into contact with copywriters that it's not bad if you can just help them with research or help them with outlining. There's so many elements that will make you a better copywriter and prepare you for when you are trying to become a full-time copywriter, because there's so much happening behind the scenes, of course, that nobody ever sees, but that's the stuff I think that makes the difference. So it's good stuff. Anything else you want to add or give to the people that to leave them to wrap our week of experts?
I don't have anything else to give you guys. I mean, I appreciate you having me on the show, and it's love working with you 5 years ago. Glad to see that you've gone on to become such a huge success.
Huge success. I like that. Sounds pretty good. Pretty good. Well, I appreciate the time, Aaron.
Absolutely.
Hope you and the family are doing well. I'll be in Florida at some point. Maybe we can swing by.
Swing by. Maybe we'll stand 6 feet from each other and wave at each other. But
hopefully at that point we'll be past it. We'll see though.
All right. Hopefully. All right.
Take care, Aaron. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye.
All right, bye.